Hey everyone, it's Destiny and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to come back with another sewing vlog, but rather than start with something 100% from scratch, I wanted to pull out some of the incomplete projects that I had been accumulating. If you watch some of my previous videos, you know I talk a lot about slowing down my pace and really focusing on perfecting. But if I'm being totally honest with you, sometimes I hit roadblocks and I get to a mental space where I just want to put away the project and never look at it again. And rather than just letting those projects accumulate into a pile of never-ending incompletion, I wanted to really focus on overcoming those roadblocks. I believe a big part of skill development is overcoming and problem solving, and I think that's where you learn the most about your skill set. So I decided to pull out two projects that I had been hiding away and not wanting to finish. The first one is going to be this top and another pink top here. Now this plaid top, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I recently completed a project where I made a mini skirt out of this plaid pattern. And with the leftover fabric, I wanted to make this top. Now if you look at it from a surface level, it definitely looks finished, but when you put it on, it doesn't fit right. And I think a big part of that is the lining job that I did. We're gonna go ahead and fix that today and get it to a point where I can feel really happy wearing it. Now this next piece is something that I have really wanted to finish for a long time, but just got a little intimidated by it. When I first started this project, my skill set was not where it's at today. This fabric is super delicate to work with, and I can't really use my sewing machine to finish it, so I have to hand stitch a lot of the components. I think that really just intimidated me at the time of starting this project. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm not sure how good or bad my lighting is going to be right now, but to briefly overview before I get started, this is the pink top that I'm working on. I know I have this top portion formed out and it's already sewn down. I just need to add this bottom trim that I really loved. I love the pattern on this. You can see there's a ton of fraying that I have to trim off too. Anyways, I had already gotten started stitching this down and I was following along this line right here using the pattern as my guide. But I have about that much left that I need to put on. You can see my liner actually. Let me flip this over. I'm going with this fabric for a liner and it's gonna help me make this a little bit more of a thicker fabric so that way I can wear this without a bra and not have to worry about anything poking out. Anyways, I like this trim a lot. Finish adding this as soon as possible, and then I do want to fold this down over and then get this stitched down as well, so it'll be something along the lines of that, but obviously more flat. And then I have the straps right here. This is what I wanted to make the straps out of, but what I didn't do right at the time when I sewn this down was include the strap in between the layers. So I'm gonna have to add this after the fact, which is gonna leave me with some exposed stitching, which I will hopefully make it look cute and intentional. It's gonna look like a very bohemian look, I guess, is what I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna add another side panel here and obviously on the other side, and then attach my loops where I'm gonna put this through so that way it can tie up and lace up. That's what's up for this top. And as for this top, it does look okay. When you look at it like this, it looks fine. But when I put it on, it is pulling in a diagonal direction, and I guess you can kind of see here how it is pulling on this closure, so it's not staying straight, it's kind of going like that. And that is because I made the liner a little bit too tight on the inside. So what I'm probably gonna do is cut it loose in a few areas and see how that fits, and then reattach it down and maybe just get rid of the lining altogether, or maybe just keep it around this area right here, because I do need this to hold into the clasp. Unfortunately, I trimmed this closure a little too close to where the hooks were, so my liner was actually sort of holding it together to the top, or holding it to the top. That's next on my list, and I probably will tackle this first before I tackle that one. We're gonna go ahead and get started on that. Quick update on this top. When I sat down and I actually got to work on it, I realized that this actually isn't diagonal, it's straight. What's crooked is my pattern, and it was giving this illusion that it's not straight. But when I put it on, I'll go ahead and show you in the try-on B-roll, but you'll see it actually lines up perfectly straight. Problem is that this pattern is comprised of a bunch of straight lines. If you look at it up close, you can see that it's not straight at all, and it's giving the illusion that this centerpiece isn't straight. And I was able to fix my liner. All I had to do was sew it down better in a few places so it would stop pulling into one direction. All I ended up really needing to do is just tighten it in certain areas, and that way the liner was pulling in a better direction. Great, I got this tangled. But anyways, the material that I used on the inside is actually from an old t-shirt, so it does have some stretch to it, and that ended up working out really well. Yeah, it actually looks really good. I'm happy with the adjustments that I made. It turned out to not be as overwhelming of a project as I initially thought it was going to be. Now I know the real problem is when I create a piece. Girl. She cannot be serious right now. Anyways, when I create a new piece, I just have to take into consideration that the line work on the pattern also needs to be aligned straight, and that way visually everything will look the way it's supposed to. Now that I finished that top, I have to move on to this one. I went ahead and finished attaching this bottom section down here, and now my next step is to go ahead and fold this over and now create a nice flat seam right here. I'm super excited on this one. The color just really has me motivated to get it done. I absolutely love this color palette. The gold and the soft pink just work together really well. It's been quite a few weeks since I last touched this top. I'm not going to even lie to you guys or front that I just have been on it. I took some time to think about how I'm going to go about putting the straps on, and what I'm going to actually do is, this is my strap by the way, I don't know what to even call this. I think I repurposed this from a package that I had gotten that was wrapped in this. Colors matched really well with this part right here. What I'm gonna do is cut this in half since it's long enough for me to be able to use it. I still haven't sewn this part down, so this is like the inside of the top. What I'm gonna do is attach it to the liner from the inside, attach it in here, and then sew it down like that. When you do a tie strap, you have to think about where the tension is gonna pull on the top. So if I do it from here, my guess is that this top is gonna pull outwards instead of up and in, or it's gonna pull up and out instead of up and inwards, and then create creases if it goes that way. So as you can see, this is my neckline, so I don't want to have any rippling once I tie it down. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, do a quick time lapse of what it's like for me to attach the straps on, and then we can move forward. I've pinned my straps where I want them to go, and you get the gist of what I'm going for here, where you don't see a stitch on this side of the fabric, but you'll be able to see something here. I gotta be a little innovative with the way that I stitch this down so it looks aesthetic. One issue that I'm gonna have is this, which is a bunch of fraying at the end of where I cut this strap. For some reason I just overlooked that, and that's a big boo-boo on my part. Hopefully, because this is on the inside, you won't be able to see it and it won't be as visible. I do need to focus on how I'm going to fix this part here, which is going to be visible when I wear it. And I think I can burn this, but I have to make sure that it's a synthetic fabric so it melts rather than just burning. I don't know if this is a synthetic fiber or if it's 100% cotton, but I think what I could also do to omit that is stitch it. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now I just want to focus on attaching the strap and not overwhelming myself with problems. My straps have been attached on both sides. Here at the top, you can go ahead and look at it on the other side. This is what it's like. I have to trim off some of these loose ends, but this is what it's looking like. Did a little X. Hopefully you can hear me over my washer, but we've made some great progress here on this top. I'm feeling really happy about it. I went ahead and actually stitched down this portion of the top. I still only have about this much left to go. Hopefully I'll get that done tonight. I also trimmed down the sides. I've come to a point of decision. I'm not sure if I want these straps to tie over here on the side and leave a bunch of side boob out. So I don't think this is going to give me enough coverage. I don't have a very large chest, but I don't want to necessarily make it look like it's barely hanging on. I want it to feel like it's intentional and very design orientated. If this is too little of a side panel here, I'm gonna have to add a section here where I add a loop for me to put this through and then tie in the back, so that way it hooks over and then ties here in the center. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, but I do have enough fabric left over for me to be able to make that extra panel should I need it, but I am a little worried as to how I'm gonna continue this design, if at all. Down here at the bottom, or this pattern, we have some problem solving to do. Not overwhelmed, but just kind of like bummed that I didn't think to leave this a little bit longer when I was cutting the original piece, but this is what we're working with and I'm still pretty happy with it. Quick update on this top. I finally finished sewing down this bottom portion to the top, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish off cutting the fabric I need for these side panels. Then I'm gonna cut and sew these loops that I intend to put on the sides. The general idea. I'm gonna add these panels here. This is the inside actually, so it's gonna look something like this. And then I'm gonna actually cut on the reverse side some more pink. So the next step is gonna be cutting this fabric. So sew that down together and add these loops too after I've sewn these down. A majority of the time I don't work with a pattern, which isn't always the wisest decision. It's not something I would recommend for anyone just starting out. But as I've gone further into my sewing journey, I just personally find myself having the most creative inspiration when I'm pinning fabric right onto my dress form. With that said, I don't want to shy away from drafting patterns. So for my next piece, I'm going to make it a priority to do so. I'll just start with something super simple and let that be my gateway into slowly increasing the complexity of my projects. It'll also give me the opportunity to duplicate any project that I'm really happy with. But with sewing talk aside, what do you guys enjoy watching in the background while you're working on something or even just cleaning? I typically alternate between True Crime with Kendall Rae, Wendy Goon's iceberg videos. They're incredibly long, but they're so interesting to watch and just learn about different lores and legends. And I even watch Lord of the Rings, just to name a few things. My husband actually gifted me the books for my birthday a few weeks ago, and I just started reading The Hobbit. It's so good, and I'm really excited to read through the entire series for the first time. I also came across another channel on here called Understitch, and it's been really fascinating to learn more about the history of major fashion brands. I've never been to fashion school, so to be able to compress history lessons on the topic into videos has been really informative and inspiring for me. And now that I mention it, I think I'll watch more YouTube videos than streaming services. Since I've become more familiar with what goes into making longer format content, I have a deeper appreciation for the effort some of my favorite YouTubers put into their videos. But yeah, go ahead and comment below what you enjoy watching. I'm super curious to know. Anyways, let's get back to the video. And that's going to conclude today's video. I am so satisfied to move these pieces out of my incomplete pile and into my wardrobe. The learning curve on these projects has been absolutely immense. This video in itself has been months in the making. It probably seems really quick when you're watching it, but this has taken me so many months to finish. And actually even this project has been years in the making. I know it seems like a really simple project when you're looking at it from a third perspective, but at the time that I started it, I was making so many mistakes and it was such a delicate fabric. I just allowed myself to get overwhelmed, and being able to go back and face the mistakes that I had made, but in a mindset where I wasn't afraid to slow down and take my time with it, has really helped me a lot. And with this one, the main mistake that I made was just overlooking the way that the pattern looks. And that is such a minuscule detail to overlook, and I can't believe I ever overlooked it to begin with. But now going forward, I can really sharpen my skill set and my mindset with these projects. I think what makes me rush more often than not is making content alongside the project. And I think it's just a good reminder for me to take a step back and realize that it's not a race to get these pieces done. I'm mainly making them for myself. I'm not making it for this content race. And just like a majority of the videos, I always end with, don't be afraid to take your time. There's no rush. There's no need to get things done as quickly as possible. Just really take your time. Focus on the attention to detail. Another big thing that I was looking back at these mistakes is don't be afraid to slow down on the pre-planning, especially when it comes to your pattern cutting or when you're draping and pinning things on there. Don't be afraid afraid to just unpin things, put it back together, or draft a pattern on a piece of scrap fabric and then cut that out and see what that's like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't be afraid to like, subscribe, and comment, all the YouTube things. And thank you so much for sticking along with me. I'll see you in the next one.